considering MOUZ, like the MOUZ will in the next 3 months change a player. That's the only take I have.
Crazy take.
The thing is,
what a crazy hot take that is.
No, the thing is like,
holy shit.
Yeah. The thing is like, it's just like I've watched these games on PGL, right? They seem completely like they're like blindfolded walking on the map, like completely, they just, there is nothing going on. The T side is all right. It's not the worst, right? We've seen worst. But like the CT side, they're just all over the place. They cannot like connect any kind of round like with each other in a sense. Like that when we used to see MOUZ playing back when even like before siuhy or whatever, like who was the IGL, they always seem to be like playing off each other very well on both sides. Like somebody makes a move, somebody gets a read, somebody uses the timing, walks out, they get together. The mid round is good. Like when they execute, they're always at the same time. Nobody's delayed. Nobody's like rotating bad on the CT side. You see them like moving as a team that knows what it's doing, right? You can see it, like you can spot that in tier 1 teams easily, right? Right now, you watch MOUZ and just you see 5 players just doing random shit at all times. And if it works, it's like, yeah, oh great, they won a round. But it usually doesn't work. We saw the game against, was it Falcons today? That was a terrible game. Even Falcons had like, who did they have popping off? One player, right? It wasn't Nico. Nico was like...
Dexter did well.
Yeah, Dexter popped off a little bit.
Yeah,
he was like, 50
Maybe
frags.
Tessus popped
Well,
off
no.
too.
But, no, Nico was the number 2. But the thing is, like, even with Falcons, they look terrible right now. They don't look good. Like, they don't look like a team that should be in any kind of contention for any events, including this one. They beat them after 0-1, right? They managed to, like, reverse sweep them, right? So that spells problem in MOUZ. MOUZ never had those problems before. Never faced those problems before. They were always solid in the group stage, always solid before the playoffs and the arenas and all this shit. Never, ever in the last, 15, 16 months, 18 months, they had, like, issues with the group stage. All of a sudden, now they're in a 2-2 bracket or 1-2. They lost to, who did they lose to, Maui? Let me check. They lost to Falcons and...
FaZe.
And FaZe was comfortably lost, right? There was 13-11 was the second map, but it wasn't really like that close, right? Yeah, it was the first map on Ancient where they were like 9-3 up and they couldn't get anything on the T side. And then Mirage was a blowout, right? So overall, big problems. I don't see that this working out. I think that they should even change the player immediately next Monday.
Okay.
Like, depending on who's available.
Here's the thing, as usual, Maui, the first take wasn't even a fucking hot take. So I think tomorrow someone's going to have breakfast somewhere in the world. But like, he actually at the end accidentally did the hot take. The hot take is they shouldn't even finish this event after this event on Monday. They should change roster immediately.
I mean, I was thinking of doing the take, honestly, of just like, they should, after this event, just bring siuhy back for Brawlin. Like, I was thinking
that's a good hot
that
take. Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I didn't pull the trigger on it because of, I don't know, like, I'm seeing little bits and pieces I like of MOUZ, and it's like super early to evaluate this team. But like, I mean, my take already was that they weren't going to make playoffs of like anything really.
It ties into your take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty down on them already. Like, I kind of get what you mean. The synergy for MOUZ just feels way more disjointed. Like they just moved as a unit. Like, that's the thing. Like, but the problem with this MOUZ thing is that they got a couple victories, and I think people are like, okay, let's see what they can do. Like maybe they're good because they beat Big, they beat 3D Max, but it's like the player quality is so much higher than Big and 3D Max that I was never really surprised about this. The loss against Falcons, whereas I'm finally like getting to maybe reap the rewards of making bold takes about them at the beginning, because it's like, that's a team where if you had siuhy with the current state that Falcons is in, that MOUZ would have beat them. Like, that, if it was siuhy for Spinks and the old version in maybe even like 90% of their powers of last year, they're still beating that Falcons team. So this is where it's starting
70.
Yeah. I mean, it's 90 might even be generous to Falcons. Yeah, like 70%. So yeah, it's starting to come apart a little bit already for me. I know people just want to be really nice because no one wants to be like wrong, but like, I mean, I was pretty on with like, I mean, I'm pretty boldly still saying like, this team's not going to really do anything, and we're basically just in a holding state for MOUZ until the end of the season, and then we're going to see where do they pull the trigger next on a roster move, and probably for an in-game leader.
Okay, I'll take all these angles because, first of all, I actually think Maui also has a pretty good hot take there. People just didn't think about because people only saw the move in order. So siuhy benched, we signed Spinks, but it's like, but who's the IGL? And then Broland becomes the IGL. Like, actually, the hot take is this. The reason they should bring siuhy back and just bench Broland is you'd just be better than MOUZ last year. Bro, you'd just have a better version of that team. And you've even got a player who actually has performed on stage. Like, I actually feel like that's the fucking move. So the problem here all comes down to the thing we're not allowed to know because they haven't sold him yet, which is siuhy, in their opinion, tainted goods? Did he do something behind the scenes? I told you, all I heard was that, Maui. I never actually heard any extra info that I'm hiding of, like, he did something or he said. I just heard everyone wanted him out. That's what I was just told. And I was almost told that as if, like, don't pry anymore. Just know that, like, it's not like, he had an argument with someone or someone just thinks he's not good enough for the game. Just for some reason, everyone wanted him out, which, by the way, to me, I just infer means something like there's either like a big disagreement or people didn't fuck with him in some way or who the fuck knows what. Maybe he wanted people cut. I don't bloody know. On that one, it's a pure speculation. You'd have to read into it. So all I'll say is this. I already think this is where the person I want to have the hot seat on them is Cyclone. After what I've just seen everyone do to Zonic, who I'm being told is on Fraud Watch, here's what I don't get. Please clarify that by Fraud Watch you only mean in Falcons. Because if you're doing that thing where it's like he was always a fraud secretly, I actually think you're a bum at CS again. I think you just don't know the game. It's impossible. It is literally impossible to win 5 majors as a fraud. It's just not, it's not even vague. Bro, I don't even know if you could win 1 major as a fraud. Like, I'll even give, like, I don't even know him. I'll give Dastan some credit. I'll give almost anyone who won a major some credit, right? I think it's so hard. You have to have done something, bro. You can't actually just be a total faker, in my opinion. So,
I love that Kassad just said, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You're welcome to that.
Gambit.
Oh, Kumkane, I see what you mean, right? That might be the closest. Because a lot of people think that guy was a bot, so it is true. That would be, put it this way, that would be in that case, that's the rule, that's the exception that proves the rule, as we say in English, Kassad. I mean, everyone else, except Kane, everyone else was legit.
Fashion UA, he kind of proved himself recently. He just kind of.
So, but the thing is, I actually do think this is why the pressure actually doesn't go to Spinks, it doesn't go to siuhy, it just goes to Cyclone, because here's why. Bro, you actually just did your own Zonic Boros move, which is, look, I heard there's some really fucked up shit about Boros, but I'll tell you what, Kassad, if I can look back in hindsight now and come out of a time machine like Rick and Morty and tells fucking Zonic before he cuts Boros, I'd go, bro, no matter what he's doing, you can't cut him. Like, he is actually at the moment one of your only lifelines to have a chance to win a game. Like, even if you're right, even if everything he does is so unacceptable, it's basically the simple premise that I used to have back in the day. It's like, I don't care, mate, unless he's actually killing people, he's killing people in the game, so that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have this guy. So if you could go back in time, so it's the same thing for Cyclone. If Cyclone had any part in benching or selling this guy, then he has to suffer the consequences of if he now has a team with a scuffed IGL who's trying to integrate Spinks. I'm not going to go overboard from one LAN. This is the first real LAN. Remember, they played a whole LAN without the fucking guy. They had the Zelex guy. I'm sure they didn't even practice with Spinks at that point in time. They're not terrible. They've already beaten 3D Max. The problem is they're going to basically have to do the thing that's almost impossible, which is with no IGL, they're all going to actually have to play like they all should in a real team and pop off. And if they could do that, the names on paper say they could do that, but that's so implausible in CS, unfortunately, guys.
I would say that my take on where I think MOUZ is headed in general is like they're definitely going to slowly degrade as some other teams like Eternal Fire level up, and even, I don't know, 3D Max or whatever. Like, teams that are in the top 10 are going to move up a little bit, and MOUZ themselves are going to just slowly trickle down. And what they're going to say after they sell siuhy or whenever that deal is completed is, I think from watching this team, I like Kassad saying they look like they're 5 guys playing without any connection to each other. And that's exactly what I see. That's what I see too. I see the same thing where it's just like, I feel like they wanted to play a style that's more individualistic. And if I have to guess, what's going to come out is going to be like some stuff about siuhy microing too much, or like telling them to do too, like, it's going to be kind of like Alexi B level stuff where it's like they don't realize that siuhy has been puppet mastering them in a lot of games, but come playoff time, I imagine like some of these players just are playing worse. Like, I watch them play in like arenas, and it's like exertion just gets so much worse. And if these are the guys that started to stage the coup, then it's like I feel like their inability to look inwards and their poor ability to handle pressure in arena games is what made them wrongly assess the fact that siuhy was holding them back, when in reality he's like, this guy was holding everything together. It's kind of one of those like MSL, didn't know I was in a system till I wasn't playing with MSL type of things. I feel like siuhy is Because yeah, they just look like they're kind of like 5 dudes like moving across the map, kind of trying to deathmatch themselves through situations, which is why they can beat like, you know, a big clan, because their players are still very good. But then if they have to beat a phase clan, they just look like when they were doing A converge, like they were trying to converge on the A bomb site of Mirage, and it's like one guy moves it once, then another guy comes out connector, then he dies. Then a guy kind of swings out Palace slowly. He dies. Then a guy comes out con. It's like, it was so disjointed. It was like, why was there a singular voice here that was saying pinch the bomb site now? Because it didn't look like it. So those are the things where I think they're gonna really miss siuhy, or people need to just be louder on the team. I think they, but I think they do have a chance to figure it out. Like, that's my one thing. Like maybe in a few months or 6 months or something.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.